Good morning, Belize. I'm Annlyn Apolonio. I'm your Friday night anchor here at Channel 5, and I'm also an educator. Some of you may know that I have a long history with sports and fitness. It is something I'm very passionate about, not just because it keeps me fit, but it helps me maintain my physical and mental health. I have seen the benefits of a healthier lifestyle and want to help others to do the same. So starting today and every Tuesday here on Open Your Eyes, I'm going to be helping you to make transformations of your own. I'll show you Belizeans who have made their own transformations and give you expert advice on making healthier changes in your own life. Our first topic for transformative living is about dealing with trauma. Trauma has many faces, shapes, and forms. After experiencing traumatic events, many people find that their sense of self has been bludgeoned and their relationships with others become collateral damage. While responses to trauma are unique to each person and shaped by their personal experiences, most people seek a medium to vent their discontent as they process their emotions. One such person is mental health advocate Demi Williams, who used social media to share her truth and garnered support from others who could relate to her experiences.
Trauma, I would say, was the insidious best friend I adopted at a very young age. It's shaped my entire life. Trauma is why I became who I became. It's why I am who I am, for better or for worse. I guess I'm one of those persons who could say, if these horrible things did not happen to me, I wonder who I would have been. But I don't look in the mirror hating what I see either. It makes sense why all those things needed to happen to get to where I am today. Before you could go to anybody, you have to look within yourself. If you can't face it, then you can't express it. You need to sit with yourself. You can't always mask your pain with going from relationship to relationship, friendship to friendship. You basically just take what a time from yourself where you need to just retreat inward. If it means go to bush, if it means that you just don't want to go out on weekends, you just want to stay home, take that time, sit with your pain. If you sit with your pain long enough, it will begin to tell you its name.
This is a familiar pain for musician Alexander Evans, whose trauma manifested in his struggles of feeling like he would never be good enough or worthy. For Alex, his healing was a process of unlearning these feelings by being less reactive and less judgmental towards himself.
A lot of times, with most people, we feel something, and we feel something that makes us uncomfortable, whether it's sadness, anger, grief, jealousy, which are all very human emotions and are part of the human experience. But because it makes us uncomfortable, we react by stigmatizing that emotion. I don't want to feel this way. And so then it all becomes about the reaction and about our judgment towards ourselves, because we judge ourselves for feeling the way that we feel. And then in doing so, we're unable to actually feel and process the emotion and take from it what we're supposed to learn from it, or what we take from it what it's trying to tell us. So by learning to be less judgmental and less reactive, I've been able to really just accept myself a lot more for who I am. I've been able to show up more as my most authentic self, which is constantly evolving and changing. And in doing so, I've also been a lot more able to intentionally cultivate space for others around me to freely express themselves, to be their most authentic self, and to feel safe and free from judgment.
So if you're working on yourself...
Mental health consultant Dr. Michael Medina uses psychology, his spiritual knowledge, and his medical experience to shed light on new perspectives that ultimately lead to happiness and holistic transformation. He asserts that trauma strips us of our power as it modifies our brain structure.
Trauma is something that impacts the person, that is not a common thing of everyday life. So or it could be something also very subtle that happens over time. But the whole point of trauma is that we're in a position where we're powerless, we have no control, and as a result, impacts the brain, such as modifying the brain, changing brain structure. One of the results of trauma is fragmentation of the mind, right? So the healing is very simple to say, right? But it's complex to do, which is to integrate back again the person. So the person going through trauma, whether it's different events, like maybe a sexual assault, or it may be something sustainable over time, like emotional neglect. Either way, the person, as a result, their mind is fragmented. And as a result of being fragmented, the person ends up in a position where they don't feel love for themselves. They always feel this void, this emptiness. So the healing is to work towards this person, towards love of self, to integrate themselves, their mind and body as one. Trauma causes fragmentation, and healing is working towards integration.
This integration requires one to confront their past to allow room for healing.
If you don't really connect your past and you understand your traumas, you're not going to understand what you're going through in the present moment, right? And you're going to be lost. You're going to be caught up in that cycle of chasing love, I would say, and feeling that you're not getting it, and you get into one relationship to the next, and it never ends because you believe that it's in the outside, but actually the problem is in the inside. You need to fix inside. You need to integrate yourself, right? Heal yourself before you can really have a healthy and loving relationship with somebody else. Most of us, we try to fix ourselves, and there's a limit to that. And when you get a view from somebody else, it helps you to come out of that box, right? Because it's like the mind trying to heal the mind. So that's why we suffer as human beings. It's one of the most difficult things in the world is to change, right? A lot of people are frustrated, women that are frustrated with their partner because they don't change. And changing is difficult. So I do believe in external help, but I also believe that the person, herself or himself, have to make the most effort, and it's a constant, daily process.
Therapy was a huge step for me, and that's not something we like to talk about here in Belize, because in Belize, you don't have to tell nobody your business. There is this shame that's attached to it. But I think the greatest decision I ever made for myself was going to therapy, making that quote-unquote long walk down the hallway, and it changed my life. I would tell my younger self that I will do everything to protect you now. I am doing everything in my path to protect you now. I identified that she didn't feel very protected. And I wanted her, because I had to have these conversations with my inner child through therapy. I wanted her to finally realize that I'm at a point where I am capable of protecting us.
Evans, who has also explored conventional talk therapy, believes that other men should embrace this introspection for the greater good of society.
A quote that I love to reference is from Bell Hooks, where she says that the first act of violence that the patriarchy demands of men is violence against self, in the form of the psychic self-mutilation of basically cutting out the part of ourselves that is responsible for emotion, that is feeling. And if we as men, or if we as boys don't do that, we're constantly reminded by other boys and other men and other people around us that it is not manly to feel, it is not manly to have emotions. Don't be too proud, or don't try and hide or run away from the fact that we've all experienced trauma, and it is up to us to figure out how to heal from it. I would highly encourage each and every person to seek healing, to seek that peace and that respite from trauma, and it will, I think, significantly impact the way we love ourselves and the way we love each other.
Evans will continue to advocate for men's mental health, among other issues, In his upcoming podcast entitled Man Up, Uncovering and Embracing Positive Masculinity, which will be launched later this month. Mental health professionals are available at public clinics across the country and a few private clinics. You can also contact the Mental Health Association for referrals to a counselor or therapist. Tune in next Tuesday for another look at transformative living. I'm Annlyn Apolonio. Have a great day, Belize.